Yom Kippur War broke out and took Israel by surprise. The soldiers of the armored brigades boarded tanks just like these ones and were quick to head down to the southern border. They thought they would meet the same Egyptian army they so easily defeated 6 years earlier in the Six-Day War.
I had two young boys. One was 3 years old and the other one was 3 weeks old. And I told my wife, don't worry, I'll be back in 3 days. So that was my feeling at that time.
Despite various indications and intelligence reports which indicated that an attack on Israel was coming, and the Arab armies, especially the Egyptians, were far stronger than in 1967, it seemed as if Israel did not believe any of its neighbors would dare attack it again. This was clearly reflected by the level of readiness of the Israeli military for war.
When we reached our camps to pick up our tanks, the situation, the status of the tanks and everything was terrible. We picked up tanks that were not appropriate to go to war.
These tanks, currently located at the Armored Corps Memorial Site Museum, carried Jonathan Adareth, along with his commander and their soldiers, to the battlefield in Sinai. As soon as they got there, they realized this would not be the 7th day of the Six-Day War, but something different, completely different.
They were well prepared. They had equipment which was far better than ours in many respects. Whenever we met them on the first few days, we realized that they were fighting and fighting fiercely, and we had losses, which was not what we expected when I left home.
The Egyptian army crossed the Suez Canal into Israeli-controlled area on the first day of the war and was able to keep some of that area until the war ended 19 days later. During this time, they were able to inflict great losses to the Israeli forces, giving the IDF at times a feeling it has never felt before, that of defeat. Only after an immense effort from the Israeli army and after losing nearly 2,500 soldiers was the IDF able to turn things around, ending the war with a military win, but with a country reeling. Israel's complete confidence in its leadership has been shattered, and along came the understanding that its mighty military power has its limitations.
We have to change our diskette, that we have to think differently. Our enemy is not the same that we saw before. We have to respect the enemy. We have to think differently about war and peace.
19 days in October of 1973 changed Israel forever, and it seemed as if the great shock made it listen to the voices of peace coming from the Nile. Jonathan Regev, I-24 News.
Good day, everyone. Tonight starts the most important feast, and that is for Israel, Yom Kippur, Feast of Atonement, the day when the high priest in the past went into the Holy of Holies once a year and offer an animal sacrifice, apply the blood upon the altar, and that is just after the 40-day fast that we did from from the end of August towards we did it now before before Yom Teruah, that is Feast of Trumpets, because we expected Yeshua to come. However, that was not to be the case, because it's still 1 year short. 2021 was the 6th year in the Jubilee cycles. You must read Leviticus 25. It's very important to understand it, together with Genesis 6 verse 3. Because that is the key actually to the second coming of Jesus. Nothing is being hidden. And I'll include again 2 videos. That is the 50th Jubilee, 1979 to 1980. And then the last cycle, the last 7, then commence 2022 until 2029 when Jesus returned. Now, War on Yom Kippur, Yeshua's first coming and second coming. You've seen that video clip. about the Yom Kippur War, the conflict of 6 to 24 of October 1973. Pride came a little bit in Israel's life when they won the 1967 Six-Day War. They were again caught unaware of the war on 1973, as you seen in that video clip. But Israel right now at this very moment, is prepared for war on Feast of Atonement should it come. But I don't think there will be war. There will be war, of course, in 2026, when the Antichrist destroyed the Israel National Defense Force in 2 days. That is according to Nathan. I will include that video for you as well. As I expected, it would have been 2025, but it's actually 2026. We still have 1 year left, people. Still have 1 year left till 2000. I know you don't want to hear it, but we have to accept it. 2022 will be a tough year for us, and we need to prepare spiritually for it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you in scripture that Jesus came on according to Daniel 9, that Vincent Vinan, Daniel 9, 24 to 27, that Gabriel told Daniel the exact time of Jesus' first coming, and that happened to be 28 AD and not 27 AD, because they again fooled us with the wrong date, the wrong decree date. Having said that, it was the first coming was, they go to that chart here. This was the 80th Jubilee. Jesus came, his birth was, in actual fact, 2 BC, not 3 BC, because they added the naught and the wrongly. So you have to start from 2 BC, and you count 2 BC, that is 1, and the zeros is 2.5, and you count 28, and it's exactly on 28 that Jesus, the year 28, that Jesus started his ministry. And then just after his baptism, Jesus went into the desert and fasted for 40 days. And he came back and he started his ministry on Yom Kippur in his hometown in Galilee. Yes, that's right, on the 80th Jubilee. And guess what? They wanted to kill him. There was almost wrath. You can just as well say it was war. Because they didn't want to hear Jesus. They didn't want to receive Jesus. They rejected Jesus. Jesus rejected at Nazareth. And as I said, just after these 40-day fast, Jesus was hunger. He was tempted by the devil. And on the day of Feast of Atonement, you read Leviticus 25, the procedure for a jubilee year. Jesus came on the 80th Jubilee, 28 AD, not 27 AD as I said previously, because it was a wrong date given to us. And he came to the Nazareth where he had been brought up. And that is, of course, is Lazarus in Galilee. That will be in Galilee, of course, up and his customers. And he went into the synagogue on a Sabbath day. Tonight is the 17th. The 17th of October to the 18th of October is a Sabbath day. And it was a Sabbath day, and stood up and he read. and they would deliver the book of Isaiah to him. Isaiah 61 was read, that's what he read. And when he had opened the book, he found a place where it was written, Isaiah 61, he read from verse 1, and he spoke, and the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor, and he has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, and preach deliverance to the captive, and recovering of the sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, and to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. And guess what they want to do further down? That is, and here is the words. I'm not going to read the rest. You can read it. And he was still preaching further on. And that's still in the synagogue. And here it says that verse 4, verse 28, and all they in the synagogue, when they heard these on Feast of Atonement, when they heard these words, they were filled with wrath. Yes, and rose up and thrust him out of the city and led him into the brow of the hill where on the city was built, that they might cast him down headlong. I wanted to stone Yeshua on that day, but Jesus just disappeared. Yeshua disappeared, and he passing through the midst, and them, they went away. They couldn't find him. He just vanished. Yeah. Let's go to the next verse, scripture. That is in Isaiah. This was a verse that Yeshua wrote. That is, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach the good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our God. And listen to this. Jesus stopped right there, and he did not continue the rest of the verse. Do you know why? Because at his second coming, and that will be 2029, that will be with September, that they give it as September 18, 19th, that is Feast of Atonement. However, that is a little bit early. However, at this point, I want to say to you, we have to take into consideration Revelation 8 verse 12. Jesus promised that he will shorten the days. He will shorten the days during the time. He said, for the elect's sake, he will shorten the time, shorten the day. And that scripture appear in Revelation 8 verse 12, where he shortened the day by a third, the night by a third, the moon by a third, the stars by a third, and the sun by a third. So you only see 16 hours a night of the stars, and 16 hours a day, of the day of the sun and the moon. That is what you will see. And he will shorten that time. And I worked it out. It is during that, it started towards not in the first year, in the second year. That will be the fourth trumpet judgment. And that appears to be, say, this is start 2022. So 23 will pass. That will happen in 2025. Not 25, 24. 2024. That that will occur when Yeshua shortened the day by from 24 hours to 16 hours a day. He shortened the day by 8 hours. And I'll include in that video for you once again. Please, people, at this point, I also want to say that YouTube and Facebook shadow ban my posts. Not just myself, many others that speaks the truth and that they don't want you to know, a shadow bank. And so if you want me to post, you can leave your email address in the comment box, and I will share the post, the link, or the videos link. I do share it already to a few. So if you want to be on that list, I will do so gladly. Now, the second coming, Jesus will then come at the 2029. That is out. The time frame already gives it in the Jubilee years when Jesus will come. And that will be 2021. It's not no man knows a day and hour. It's in the Bible, people. If you look and seek and do the math, it's 1,260 days the first 3.5, and 1,260 days in the second half. That adds up to 7 years, people. Of course, the day will be shortened, and that will be 2000. The midpoint is 2026, when the Antichrist will defeat, as that young man said. Nathan, he's not young anymore. That was 2015, is already 6 years ago. So he is now approximately 21 years that it occurred. And he said that it will be Goth Obama that will defeat the Israel National Defense Force in 2 days. Yeah. So Israel will not always just be in the winning side. God is fighting on behalf of Israel, and there were many miracles that happened in those wars, the 6-day war, and also in the 73-day war, the Yom Kippur War. There were many miracles that took place. I would like to share that videos with you, but I do not know about YouTube. They may again strike me for sharing not my own videos. That was the first coming of Jesus on the 80th Jubilee, and 2029-30 will then be the final Jubilee. I'll include that videos for your viewing. Please do subscribe, and please do share this video. Much blessings to you, and enjoy your Feast of Atonement. I'm going to start a fast for tonight. I did mention it in the last video. And it's all up to what you want to do. But I'm going to fast on that day, starting from tonight and ending it tomorrow evening. God bless you, each and every one.